Hello and welcome to another episode of the Video Creator Show. I am Grant, here with my co-host Augie, and today we are going to talk about something that we haven't talked too much about yet, even though they are quite important, and that is YouTube Shorts, specifically how to make a channel with mostly YouTube Shorts. Now, if you are mostly posting long-form content, it's probably worth just dipping your toes and making some of those vertical videos just to see how they do, maybe give you some extra exposure. But the main focus of this is making a YouTube channel with mostly or exclusively shorts. And I did want to show a couple examples today. The first thing I wanted to talk about is making a channel exclusively with shorts. Now, I think the main problem people have with YouTube Shorts is they're harder to monetize. You can get a lot of attention, you can get a lot of views, but how do you make money? This is obviously important. You want to make sure that your views are worth something. YouTube right now has a creator fund that they kind of distribute to shorts creators. However, this is changing and arguably getting better in January of 2023. The idea being they're going to insert ads between shorts. So like as you're scrolling, there's going to be like suddenly an advertisement that is in vertical video. And then that advertisement plays and then you scroll to a non-advertisement and keep watching your videos. So then they're going to give creators a certain percentage of that. I believe it's 45% as opposed to 55%, which 55% is long form content. That's what creators get. 45% is what you're going to get for short form content. So it's a little less. The reason for this, I think, is because there's a lot of music with shorts, like it's being able to dance, and basically the copyright is a little more complicated, and that's just kind of how it's got to be. Augie, I'm curious, like your kind of overall opinion of shorts. Mine is they're easy. It's easy to get attention with them. Even next year, I think you're going to find it harder to monetize. Like per view, they're going to be worth less. However, what's your kind of overall opinion before we get into the details?
Yeah, I think shorts are a great move by YouTube. First of all, I think they saw TikTok kind of growing, and all of a sudden the narrative switched from, you got to be on YouTube. You got to be on YouTube. It switched to you got to be on TikTok. You got to be on TikTok. And I actually heard that a lot. And so YouTube, what did they do? They released shorts. At first, it was a little wonky, kind of how they had to interact with the algorithm and everything. But at this point, I think they've got it figured out. At first they didn't allow people to really make the connection to be, oh, you watch a bunch of shorts from this channel, let's serve them some long form content. They actually had it separated out to where, oh, you watched a lot of shorts from this channel. Well, we're only going to show you more shorts from that channel, because they felt as if, just because you watched a short from someone's channel, that doesn't mean you'd be interested in their long form content. But since then, YouTube announced that they changed the algorithm again. And yeah, now shorts are a great way to, as like a gateway drug to your YouTube channel. So if you're a small channel, you should be pumping out shorts to get some attention, because they do get more views, because someone will come onto YouTube and watch 50 shorts when in 10 minutes when they could only watch maybe one or two long form YouTube videos. So the view numbers are way higher. And I think they're a great thing. And like I said, a great thing for new creators.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mostly agree. I think especially if you just want to make shorts and you're not even interested in long form content, some clients I've had, that's just their channel. They only care about shorts. Long form content's too much work. They're in it, and they tend to be more like Gen Z. But it is a legitimate strategy. I am curious, Augie, of your thoughts though. If you're a channel that your kind of meat and potatoes is long form content, and then you start making a bunch of shorts. So one concern I have that I wanted to ask your opinion on is YouTube recently changed their algorithm so that if you watch a bunch of short form content from somebody, then you are more likely to be recommended their long form content. This seems like a good idea, right? You get attention. You can get your long form content in front of people who otherwise would not have seen it. However, one problem that comes to mind for me is, what if somebody does like your shorts, but every time they see your long form content on your feed, they click it and then they're like, I don't have the attention span for this, or this isn't what I'm looking for, which is going to kill your watch time or even your click-through rate if people aren't clicking it at all. How would you deal with this? And is this even a concern of yours?
Yeah, I mean, it is a concern of mine, and it's something that I don't know the black and white answer to, as far as, do people watching your shorts, does that affect your overall average view duration? I would think that YouTube is smart enough to recognize that, hey, we can't like destroy a channel just because everyone's watching the shorts and they're only 15 seconds long, so their average view duration is dropping. Like, I think YouTube's thought that out before they go and release shorts and all that. So I think it's fine. I think that the scenario that you just kind of outlined of people, watching your shorts, going to a long form video that's 10 minutes long, watching 10 seconds and being like, you know what, I'm more of I just want to watch shorts, leaving. I think that's real. And I think that's something that you can't really solve with an algorithm, because that's just people's personal preference, right? I mean, for all the people that come, watch a 10-minute video for 15 seconds and leave, there could be a lot of people that come and end up watching the whole video. So, I mean, it's hard to say if that's actually going to happen or not. But I think it just comes down to your long form videos being great, right? I think your shorts can be good, but your long form videos have to be great. And if that's the case, then I think people will stick around. They will subscribe. They will end up watching the longer form videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mostly agree. One detail I would add to that as far as advice is, I would make sure that your shorts match the vibe of your long form content. So like, if your long form videos are mostly talking head, your shorts should also be talking head. If you have like very fast paced shorts, your long form content should also be kind of fast paced. Like, basically So some clients I've had, I'll recommend this to them. I'll give you one example. She has like a yoga channel, yoga/meditation channel. She has these long meditation videos that are like 30 minutes. And it's her talking into a high quality microphone with just like some pretty imagery on the screen, doesn't show her face at all. And it's just very relaxing, and there's a vibe to it. But she was posting short form content where she wasn't talking into a high quality microphone. There wasn't, pictures of galaxies and sacred geometry or whatever. It was just her kind of answering questions to her phone. And it's so different that I saw her shorts weren't getting much engagement compared to these other types of videos she was getting. So I recommended to her that she basically make short 1-minute meditations and post them in vertical video and see what happened. And, so far so good. And in general, you want, I think, your branding to be consistent. That's really what it comes down to here.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And as far as the whole, should you post shorts alongside your long form videos? Like, I think it's a good idea. I think that it just only brings more watch time, more eyeballs to your channel. But I have heard some creators say that they refuse to post shorts because they worry that it's going to hurt their channel. These are people that are really established, maybe even 1,000 videos on their channel, and they refuse to do it because I guess there's a risk there, right? That a little bit of unknown that they just don't know. And I guess in time, those answers will kind of come forward and we'll know, like, more of, do shorts hurt your channel by posting along the long form? Because like I said, people are telling me like, hey, don't do it. But, I think for me at my stage with my channel right now, 450 subscribers, like it only makes sense to post shorts, post a lot of them, just to bring in eyeballs and get those views. And, a question that I've had, and maybe you know the answer, maybe you don't, is do the shorts watch time, does that go towards you being monetized. Like you need I think 1,000 hours of watch time or something like that, or you need 1,000 subscribers, and I can't remember
4,000 hours of
4,000 hours of watch time. Yeah. Do you think that shorts count?
Hey there. You probably know the Video Creator Show is brought to you by VidChops.com. What is VidChops.com? Well, it is an editing service that will take the horrible burden of editing off your back. We all know video editing. It's tedious. It takes forever. But what if you had a professional who did it for you? You go to sleep, you wake up, it's done. Wouldn't that be magical? VidChops.com. Hire a professional, save yourself time and energy, and take your YouTube channel to the next level. Yeah, it does. It's just, obviously, it's way harder to rack up that watch time because the videos are so short. And it's harder, but it does count towards it. Which makes sense. I think like it was maybe more ambiguous in the past because like the monetization for shorts is very different than the monetization for long form content. But I think now into the coming year, that it's kind of more clear now that you're getting paid. You're going to be paid through ads starting in 2023. And you all obviously get paid through ads as opposed to a creator fund with long form content already. So it's all just kind of tied in together, and yeah, it counts towards it. As far as I know, have you heard otherwise?
No, I haven't heard otherwise. I'm from looking at my analytics, I think that is true what you said. You want to explain a little bit about what a creator fund is, in contrast to what YouTube's doing?
Sure. So this is what TikTok does. There's essentially a giant pool of money that is generated, and then TikTok, just based on how many views you're bringing in and all that stuff, they assign you money. Basically, they just there's a pool and they give creators a certain percentage of that pool. I believe the way YouTube's pool works right now, you can make a maximum of like $10,000 per month and no more. So I mean, for most people that's great. Like you're not going to hit that limit. But if you're really hitting it big, that could be a limiting factor. But only for the next couple months here.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. And so then the YouTube shorts are going to be a 45-55 split with YouTube, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the creator will get 45, and also keep in mind that's like the cut that YouTube is getting. So the overall money that is generated. Maybe this is too much detail to go into, but I watched a kind of in-depth video about it. The overall money that gets generated is essentially split between music companies, YouTube, and creators. So like the music company the music industry takes about 20% of the total revenue, and then what's left over ends up getting split between YouTube and creators. So you're actually getting less than 45%, but also YouTube is actually getting less than 55%. Kind of interesting. And the reason for this is because music is so crucial to especially shorts and kind of all the dances and the viral videos. Like, I mean, we've all heard the often annoying TikTok songs or whatever. Music is just essential to the ecosystem there, so they kind of have to appease the music industry, and I think it's a good move.
Yeah, no, I agree. So the first time I actually saw shorts like up close and personal was, and this is kind of the topic of today's podcast, so I'm bringing up was a prospect, right, was interested in video editing. They wanted to sign up and they had a lot of questions, and I got on a call with them and we looked at their channel, and it was an all shorts channel. And it actually blew my mind because I didn't notice that at first. Before the call, I was doing a little research. I went to their channel, I brought it up. I do what most people do. I copied their username and I put it into Social Blade to see what kind of views they were getting. And I was like, whoa, they were getting like, I think it was like almost 100 million views a month, I think, on this channel. Yeah, this was an Australian creator who, I'm not sure of the exact history of the creator, but this person had already been creating short form content on other platforms for many years. Then YouTube came out with shorts, and they had like just a library of content, and they just uploaded all of it, every day, a new one. And it was insane. The amount of views they were getting were insane. But the problem was, and I remember him even telling me, was that he wasn't making really any real money off these views. And I was just like, this is so bizarre. And so that was my first time seeing a channel that was purely shorts. How about yourself? Have you seen a channel that has been purely shorts before?
Yeah, so one that I've noticed is called Mini Katana, and their whole channel is about katanas. They have a company that sells katanas, and they're really beautiful, and it's all about samurai swords. One of my buddies actually, basically, Mini Katana sponsored his channel Bonsai Pop to make videos about like katanas that have been featured in anime. So this channel has over 1 million subscribers. They like 95% of their content is all shorts, and they post at least twice a day. And they have a total of 626 626 million views.
Wow.
So yeah, in the hundreds of millions. And the number was so big, it was hard for me to say it. But yeah, they just post about swords in their 1-minute videos. Like, have you heard of the Shogun Nun? And it's just a video highlighting the Shogun Nun and talking about this dude and the swords he used, and then kind of a real life physical example of the sword that you can buy. It's all very fascinating, and they do occasionally release long form videos. Again, one of my buddies produced a video for them, and their videos actually do well. So the 4 most legendary swords of all time, 32,000 views 3 weeks ago. Can a katana actually cut through Nezuko's box? Did I say that right? I even watched Demon Slayer. That's embarrassing. But anyway, 46,000 views. So their shorts tend to get anywhere from like 75,000 to several million views. So their long form content doesn't do quite as well. But I do notice that it's easier, especially for a channel like this, it can be easier to sell products with long form content. It can be easier to have more emotional impact on viewers with long form content, because the nature of shorts, you instantly, like, you're just kind of scrolling through a feed. You watch one, haha, that was funny, that was entertaining. Next one comes along, you forget about it. And it's like, it's kind of hard to establish a real audience with this type of content. So I think here the long form content is just kind of, it's nice to sprinkle it in and give people a bit more depth, maybe a bit more impact. Mini Katana, check them out. They're a really dope channel.
That's cool. Yeah, I like the channels that are just able to create these and whip these little shorts out so quickly, right? Because, like, let's talk a little strategy now. So, like, from my understanding, 2 a day is kind of the cadence that you want to be as far as posting, at least on TikTok. YouTube Shorts, to me, that seems like maybe a little bit too much. Maybe I was going to say 1 a day, but 2 a day I think is probably okay as well. I read something earlier that said Instagram, 1 a day for a reel, and Instagram reel is the cadence that you kind of want. But you got to realize that these shorts are a lot easier to create, right? And Mr. Beast himself has started to create a lot of shorts, and he's creating originals. He doesn't create any repurposed shorts. So a lot of people, they'll just take their long form YouTube video, basically edit it a little bit, make it vertical, and repost it on their YouTube channel. I mean, that strategy is not I don't think gonna hurt you, but I don't think that's the best strategy. I think the best strategy is to come up with shorts, original shorts, where you got your own script, you got your own hook, right? Because the way that your short is gonna go viral and get promoted out is the same way that a YouTube video gets, triggers the algorithm and gets promoted out. You need people to watch all the way through. Sometimes you'll see people using little tricks to get people to watch multiple times. Like the short will be this whole build up to reveal what's inside this box. And then right when I reveal the box at the very end of the video, bam, you get it to see it for like half of a second, right? And so that makes you like, oh, I want to pause it and look at it, right? So you watch the whole short over.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah, it drives me crazy too, but it seems to be a strategy that works. It seems to be that people use that. And so when you're going to create your shorts, right, you want to just kind of keep the same things in mind that you don't want people to leave the platform. You want them to continue to watch more. Them clicking onto your channel and subscribing is only going to help you. And just keep those things in mind when you're creating your short. And, as I'm kind of talking strategy right now, one thing popped into my head, and I'd love to get your kind of feedback on this. To thumbnail or not to thumbnail on a YouTube short? What do you think?
I'm going to say don't thumbnail unless you have lots of time on your hands and you have a way to like really streamline the process. Because like you mentioned, ideally you're posting, once a day around there. So that's 7 thumbnails a week. That's a lot of thumbnails. And in my opinion, it's not really worth it. Again, unless you have a way of making them really quickly, or you're just finding that your click-through rate is way better. But again, like these are algorithmically, like you're getting promoted by an algorithm almost exclusively. So what that means is like with long form content, you scroll through a feed and you see thumbnails and you're like, oh, that's a pretty picture, click, tap, whatever. But with shorts, you pretty much never see the thumbnail unless you're on someone's channel page, which is kind of rare. So I don't think it's really worth the time.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And the first short I ever released, I did create a thumbnail for it and all that. And I started looking around at other people's channels. Are they creating thumbnails? And I found some people, oh, look, they are creating thumbnails for their shorts. But then that was like a year ago or 6 months ago, maybe. And at this point, all the shorts have no thumbnails on them. So I'm like, well, they probably already did the research there and already found that the thumbnails were not actually helping them. And another thing I might add is that sometimes I get frustrated when I go to someone's channel and I click on a video thinking that it's a long form video when it's actually just a short with a thumbnail. And then I click it and then it opens up and it's a short. And I'm like, I get confused for a second. I'm like, did I misclick or something? When no, it has a thumbnail and I just wasn't expecting that. So I think, maybe there's that too. So for me personally, like now I don't put thumbnails, and actually the best short that I've released, I got like about 1.5 thousand views and there's no thumbnail on it. And it actually, what it is it is a repurposed clip. And this is kind of the outlier, and the way that I think that you can create a lot of good shorts is like this podcast we're recording right now. It's a video podcast. I can, take this podcast, I can cut it up into a bunch of shorts, and that's what I've been using as my shorts. And they've been doing pretty well. And I noticed for myself personally, when I'm scrolling TikTok or Instagram Reels and even YouTube Shorts, a lot of the content that I'm consuming on there is repurposed podcast video content. I don't know if that's because that's what I'm into and that's what the algorithm's showing me. But it seems to be like that's a strategy for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you may as well do it. You already have this content. And I think the hard thing about growing a podcast is it's hard to get people to invest. But if you can show someone a little bit of a conversation with, some eye-catching subtitles, then you can kind of show what you're all about, what you talk about. And it's I would say make sure you put a link to the actual full episode in the description of the short. That's one thing that drives me crazy is I'll like find a cool podcast clip and then like it won't say what the podcast is or where this came from, and I'm just like, oh my god. So just make sure you do that, people.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point there too. You mentioned cool subtitles. So is that a standard? Do you have to have subtitles on your shorts?
So I think it's always better to have them. I think it's standard to have them. The reason is it's eye-catching. I think shorts, you're sadly appealing to a short attention span here. So if you can have something to read while somebody is talking in the video, it's just kind of another thing to grab people's attention. And I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and I think I read a stat somewhere that said like 40% of all mobile video is watched with the sound off. It seems a little high to me, but if that's true, what if a decent percentage are watching these with no sound, then you need the captions to read it, right? And it makes sense to me if I'm chilling on my mobile phone with a group of people, kind of, family members or something, and I'm scrolling through shorts. I probably don't have the sound on. Yeah, I guess that makes sense to me. Now, the thing about subtitles that I really just hate is like this new style. I like how it looks, but as an editor, I hate making them.
Yeah.
Because everyone kind of has their own process to caption their videos, right? There's so many tools out there that you can use. And like for Final Cut Pro editors and Adobe Premiere editors, there's a way that you can, download an SRT file or import an SRT file into your video editing app. It'll automatically create captions, but they're just really basic captions. And there's a way that, with Final Cut Pro, there's another app that you can download and then use to turn those captions into titles. So once they're turned into titles, then you can style them however you want. You can use preset templates that you've created for titles. But with that said, they're not animated, right? They're just popping up on the screen, little one-liners, which is fine. They look good. But what a lot of people are doing now, and I know you chuckled when I mentioned it, is they're custom creating each title, changing the color of each word individually to look different, adding emojis into these. And now I'm starting to see people popping up different GIFs and stuff too, along with these subtitles. So it's just a lot of work, right? Mm-hmm. So and why do you think that this caught on?
I think it's just another way to keep people's attention. Subtitles in general, like as you said, they're useful. People are watching videos with the sound off, and this is just a way to kind of add some pizzazz, but without having to put in a bunch of stock footage, or it's like you're kind of just augmenting what's already there. In my opinion, the kind of fancy subtitles is going to be kind of a fad. So I've seen the fancy subtitles. I've also seen very not fancy subtitles. The like Hank Green, John Green, you might be familiar. They're kind of like, one is a science dude, another is a history dude, and they've been on YouTube forever. They post shorts where they're like, someone will ask a question, can you swim under a tectonic plate if you go deep enough in the ocean? And then he's like, well, actually, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of the nature of his content. His shorts, the subtitles are very basic. It's like pretty small white text with like a translucent black background behind them. And he'll have like 2 sentences written out. And it's almost like an afterthought. But I like that personally. I think the amount of work it takes to make that fancy text, it's so much work. It's like, I guess if you're generating a ton of revenue, then okay, it's worth it. But in my opinion, it's better to go basic because you're going to save money up front by doing this, or time at least. I think at the end of the day, if you're making something engaging and interesting, you don't need this kind of, false pizzazz to it. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, I agree. That, fancy captions or subtitles are not going to make a bad video better. It's not going to get you to trigger the algorithm more. Now, if you have a good video, that could be a little bit of a cherry on top that can actually maybe push it over the edge. So, the captions to me are worth it. Like the way that I do it is super simple. I just create the short, I put it on my phone, and I use a mobile app called Captions. That app will take it. The reason I like it is because the robot or the AI that it uses will automatically figure out everything that I'm saying, and it's 99% accurate. Then I can choose a template that I like, and then it kind of does create like that. Like if I want every word to change color as I say it and highlight it, it'll do that. If I want it to add emojis, I can just click one button and it'll automatically add emojis. Now you have to go through it and kind of look like, wait a second, I said the word money and it showed like, I don't know, a bank. or like sometimes they're like a little bit off. Or what's the one that always gets me? Oh, views. Anytime I say the word views in my shorts on that captioning app, it'll show like a view of like a lake, or like there's like a view emoji. So you got to go through and kind of edit them. But then, in 2 minutes, I have the video completely captioned. It's up to my standards, at least. I would say that it's 95% of the way there as far as those really fancy ones go. And for me, it's good enough and it gets the job done.
I mean, that does sound worth it to me, because I've been making captions in Adobe Premiere. At least like the editing I've done for some client shorts. It's like a little more upscale or whatever. It's not just a talking head. There's stock footage and effects and stuff. So I haven't used a mobile app like that. But to me, I mean, it sounds like, why not? If it's that easy, I think you may as well do it. Why not?
Yeah, and at VidChops, right, we have our own process. We use something called rev.com, which is like the OG transcriptioner, subtitler, caption creator from, I don't know, I want to say it's one of the first companies to really kind of dive into that space from a long time ago. And yeah, we use the same process, right? We use our editing software. We import what's called an SRT file. So it's a lot of work. But anyways, this isn't all about subtitles and captions. So let's continue to talk a little bit more shorts strategy. And for me, like I said, I'll reiterate what my strategy is currently is to take the podcast episode. Normally I can get about 4 or 5 good shorts out of that episode. I spread them around. I post them on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook Reels, and sometimes Twitter. And then the ones that do well, then I'll post those onto my YouTube channel as a YouTube short. And when I did that, my one that went viral on Instagram was up to 20,000 views. And this is an Instagram account that has like 50 followers on it. It's pretty new. And it went viral on Instagram. And then I posted that one on YouTube. And on YouTube, it got 1.5 thousand views, which I thought was pretty good. It's like my most viewed video that I didn't run ads to or whatever. And so, yeah, I think that's a great strategy. If you do have a podcast, and, maybe just if you are looking to do content marketing for your business, 2 YouTube videos a week, 1 podcast, repurpose the hell out of that podcast, post that on YouTube Shorts. You got your long form content there too. And then they're not clashing, right? You're not taking your long form YouTube and repurposing that and posting it again, because that seems kind of like, doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And you have this secondary content from the podcast that's, adding a little bit more like conversational pieces and stuff. Yeah, more to report on that. I haven't posted a ton of shorts, but I'm getting ready to post another one soon.
Yeah, makes sense. And as far as strategy, if you're a channel that is making a lot of shorts, you're exclusively shorts right now, I would recommend sprinkling in some long form content, a lot like Mini Katana is doing. And you might ask yourself why. And we kind of touched on it earlier. The main reason is, well, one, it's kind of a different avenue to get people's attention, right? So if you're scrolling through the homepage and somebody isn't looking at the short shelf, but you have a long form video that's floating around, they might click on that and see you in a new light and see some cool stuff and subscribe. It is also, speaking of subscribing, it is really hard to get people to subscribe through shorts, or at least I find it's harder than long form content. Generally speaking, when I see channels that exclusively, like only have shorts, their subscriber count is very low relative to their amount of views. So a client I just had today, his channel is exclusively shorts. He has like 30 million total channel views and I think 9,000 subscribers. So it's like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really, it's just not good as far as subscriber count. And the reason for this is people are just scrolling by. I think Mini Katana did it well with, having the occasional long form video. I think that garnered them extra subscribers. I do think their short form content was original enough to where they were probably getting good subscribers anyway, but I think that's the exception to the rule. So just to kind of sum that up, it's harder to get a dedicated audience with only shorts. It is easier to just be a flash in the pan with only shorts. Long form content is still like the meat. It's how you get more than just fair weather fans to your channel.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. Not all views are created equally. And that's what you got to tell yourself when you're, growing your TikTok account, right? Like these short views are not the same as getting a long form view on YouTube, right? The relationship that you're building, the value that you're delivering, it's just not the same. And I would say even podcasts are another level, right? Like someone sitting down and listening to a 60-minute podcast, it's probably a lot more intimate and a lot more better like relationship building than even a 10-minute YouTube video, right? It's like there's different levels to the amount of I don't know, just camaraderie you build and just trust that you build through content, because that's a lot of what businesses use content for, right? Is they want to nurture their leads, they want to educate their leads, they want to build value with their leads by delivering content, educating them. So shorts views definitely are not up to par with a long form view. So should you only do shorts? I would say no. I would say that's kind of taking the easy way out. And that's a lot harder way to make a full-time income than diving into long form content on YouTube. I think it's a part of your strategy, but I don't think that should be your full strategy.
Definitely. It's, I always tell people shorts are good for attention. Long form is good for retention.
Yeah.
It's catchy. And it's true. So just keep that in mind whenever you're running a channel. Maybe I'm a boomer for saying this, but I just think long form content is more substantial. I feel like it will last the test of time better. Shorts are kind of weird and wonky right now. They're getting less wonky. I also, some of this is a matter of taste, I think. Like the reason that they're good for attention but not for retention, for me, I always feel lobotomized if I spend an hour scrolling through the short feed. I feel like dead inside. Like I am depressed. I feel like I don't know, like I just did drugs and they just wore off or something. It's so bad. Oh God. Do you get that feeling? It's a tangent here, but am I the only one? Surely not.
No, that's part of your content diet, right? Like you can eat a bunch of candy or you can eat a bunch of vegetables. And a lot of times shorts are just a bunch of candy when you can go and learn how to launch a rocket ship by, watching a long form YouTube video, or you could learn some history or whatever. Shorts are more just like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And like I said earlier, a lot of people are using little tricks in order to make their shorts go viral. And, another trick I saw recently, this guy was an Instagram reel coach. So he was giving out tips on these little tricks. And one of them was put some text on the screen right next to you that is very small that you can't read. Reach up, grab it, and it will disappear. And then act like you're going to show it to the camera and do it very slowly. And people will stick around and watch, right, until you go and release it. And it's big enough so they can read it. Make sure it's long so it takes them another 5 seconds to read through it. And it was just these tactics to keep the attention. It's what you see when you scroll through. You see that stuff all the time. And people talk about the TikTok dances and all that kind of stuff. And, this same Instagram reel coach is really, talks about how you need to be using trending audio, right? So these audio samples come out and they're trending and you want to catch them at the bottom of the trend, not at the end of the trend. And if you create a video making them, then that video has a great chance of getting a lot of reach on reels. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I had a reel. I mean, it was just a talking head. It was called My First Viral Video. That was the caption. And it was me just talking about the first video I ever released on YouTube going viral, and 20,000 views. Not all views are created equal. I understand that. But, I look into that video and I say, well, why? I'm looking, why did it? And I think it was just really a good combination of a good caption, my first viral video, and then a story that I was telling. I think it started off by me saying, back in 2001, there was a dunk contest with Blake Griffin, and I go into this story, and it was enough to keep people's attention, to get that watch time and to make the video go viral. But yeah, I mean, the music is a tactic that I've never tried, but it might be something to look into. It's a little bit like selling your soul in a way, maybe. At least that's how some people look at it. I don't look at it that way personally. Like, I think you're trying to grow and you're trying to use strategy. Good for you. You're not just throwing garbage out there. You're trying to kind of like put some thought behind it. So that's good. But a lot of people look down on that stuff.
Yeah, it's just following trends, right? It's kind of the age-old piece of advice. Follow the trends and you will get views. Actually, someone I just talked to today, they did exactly that. They had a product that they wanted to sell, and they would just kind of show the product while trending audio was playing, and their entire channel is like that. And they sold, they sell, they make money. Is it you're not exactly John Lennon, but it works, and it's a valid strategy, especially I think if you don't mind doing it. If you can flow with it, if it does feel like you're selling your soul, up to you. Maybe the price is worth it.
Yeah. And I think, like the cool thing about shorts, we're talking, I guess kind of poorly about shorts in a lot of different ways, just saying we're big long form guys, obviously. But the thing that I really like about shorts is like the creativity level sometimes is super way up there. Like it kind of reminds me of like the Vine days, and poor Vine. I bet the people at Vine, Vine's shut down, are like, what? We invented short form content, like how come they're not around anymore? Like now that short form's huge, that does not make sense to me in any way. It's almost like they pioneered it. Anyways, but the creativity in these shorts sometimes is super high, and it's pretty entertaining, whether it's like cool editing transitions or cuts or something like that. But with that limited amount of time, it kind of pushes you to be more creative at times. And yeah, I think that's why a lot of people can watch 100 shorts in a row, because the creativity level is pretty high.
Right. Yeah. There's something about condensing a video into a minute or less that I think it actually can make people more creative in some instances, because there's like when you give people a certain amount of limitations, I think that can actually make things more interesting.
Yeah.
So I agree. I certainly don't mean to poo-poo shorts here. That being said, the last thing I wanted to talk about, kind of the cherry on top of this episode. Do you think shorts will be a flash in the pan? Why or why not? Are they going to last the test of time? 30 years from now, are shorts still going to be dominating the collective internet consciousness?
I do think they are here to stay, because they're just so much easier to create. I think the entertainment value that they offer is super, super high. Like, think about like a Mr. Beast short in a Mr. Beast video, right? So in his shorts, he just goes around a grocery store and says, hey, here's $1,000. Do you want to take it, or do you want to double it and give it to the next person? And they'll be like, oh, just double it, give it to the next person, and then they go to the next person. Hey, here's $2,000. Do you want to take? And so that video is literally just him, a cameraman, and some cash, and they go around and create the short. His other videos take 6 months to produce. And so, because of the simplicity of creating the shorts and everything, I think that they are here to stay, and I think that they are entertaining. That's my opinion. But who knows? I mean, things are going to start getting real weird once the metaverse becomes a thing and all that. I mean, we might not even be watching stuff on our phones anymore, but yeah, I do support the whole movement. I think that there's not going to be TikTok, Instagram. I don't know, where else do you watch shorts now? Where else do you watch vertical videos? I don't think there's going to be all these different places where the creators got to go post to Instagram and the same video here and the same video here. I think eventually there'll be like a monopoly on that kind of thing, where everyone's going to go to one place for shorts. And my guess is it's going to be YouTube.
Yeah, I mostly agree. I do think shorts are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. Exactly how prolific they'll be is my question. So the scenario where I see shorts taking a backseat or at least being like equal to long form content as opposed to right now it kind of feels like they're the new hot thing as opposed to just an option. Um, if TikTok goes away, so as we all know, TikTok is a Chinese company and it's essentially spying on Americans in the West. And I do wonder. I mean, Donald Trump almost outlawed TikTok. It's possible, just kind of depending on geopolitical conflicts or what have you, that TikTok will go away. And if that happens, I wonder what's going to happen to shorts because YouTube is the whole reason they introduced this type of content is to compete with TikTok, essentially. I think shorts are harder to monetize. Like TikTok, I've heard, doesn't actually make that much money relative to how many views they're getting. So you have all this infrastructure, but it's and it makes sense, right? Because it's with YouTube, ad revenue is kind of obvious. You like, oh, you have a skippable or unskippable ad, and the in front of the video that you're watching, or you have some mid rolls. With shorts, it's like you have to scroll, and then there's like an ad in the middle. But then I feel like this type of content relies on people kind of getting sucked in, and then an advertisement will kind of like break your flow, and you'll realize that you're wasting your life and click away. Maybe it kind of depends how they do it, but still, I just feel like there's less ad space there. The ad space is more jarring, I would argue, and if there isn't like a competitor that is out there, just the Western governments ban it. I just kind of wonder like how much of the popularity of vertical video is simply from this kind of weird app that came out from the Chinese government. And if it goes away, like what's going to happen then? It's like the obligation will be gone, and how much that will be the test of how much of this is obligation and how much of it is like legitimate desire or interest.
Yeah, that's a good point to make there. And we'll just have to wait and see on that one. I do think that the best move that YouTube made was to give the rev share, right? Immediately, creators are leaving TikTok immediately after seeing that.
Right.
Or maybe not leaving, but they're just saying, okay, I'm for sure going to be uploading on YouTube as well. So, Google owns the internet. Google owns YouTube. So whatever they decide is what it is going to be, right? I mean, imagine shorts start popping up all over Google when you search for something, right? TikTok doesn't have the ability to do that, but Google does. So if Google says we want shorts to be the next big thing, it will be. If not, then it won't be.
Yeah, and even like watching YouTube shorts on a computer is way better than watching TikToks on a computer. Have you tried to click a TikTok link? It's awful. It's horrible.
No, I haven't. I've never watched TikTok on the computer, but I could imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's only if I'm on Upwork and somebody links to their TikTok, and then I'm on my desktop and then I click. It's like way worse. Obviously, it's mostly mobile, so that doesn't really matter. But I just feel like YouTube is better done in general. So yeah, this is at this point that was just kind of an interesting topic I wanted to bring up because I do feel like there is some obligation with shorts, and I'm curious how much of it is legitimate, how exactly how popular they will be in, say, 20 years. I don't know. I feel like long form content is here to stay. I don't see them usurping long form content by any means, but I'm curious how exactly it's going to look in the future.
Yeah, and one kind of final thought from me is that so much that we do with long form content, it really does require 10 minutes, right? If you want to teach somebody how to grow their email list by 10,000 in 90 days, you can't do that in 60 seconds. So there's just there's not a ton of need for the short form content except for entertainment reasons, in my opinion. When the long form content has real value and is just something that can educate people and just it's long enough to get the point across, basically.
Yep, totally agree. So to summarize, shorts, good for attention, not so good for retention. YouTube is changing their monetization policies starting at the beginning of next year. It will be easier to monetize shorts, which is very exciting. Creators are going to get a rev split, and we recommend sprinkling in some long form content, even if your channel is mostly shorts. And, you know, we did some speculating about the future of the industry. Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's about it. Yeah. So if you are creating videos, definitely consider shorts, but it's not mandatory.
Yes, that is a very valid point. Yeah. And with that, make sure to follow, subscribe, whatever platform you're on, so that you do not miss our beautiful faces or voices, and we can see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.